Got it.
Hey everyone, welcome to You Have Permission. My name, forgot that for 2 seconds, is Karen Taylor Bass, and my amazing, handsome guest today is a colleague of mine, Christopher D. Cathcart. He is so amazing, and we're going to talk about permission as always. I got to tell you a little bit about Chris. Chris is a renowned branding and public relations expert with more than 30 years of experience across as a host of professional and nonprofit arenas. He's a published author. He's an inspirational public speaker. We started out together with boot
We-
camps, college
yes, we did.
professor, and a proud advocate of historically Black colleges and universities. One of his latest projects is HBCU Experience, the book, a
Yes.
collection of essays celebrating the Black college experience. He co-edited with Howard University professor T.S.C.M. Tyree, PhD. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Thank you, my friend. I hope it comes across that you and I are not mere acquaintances in this. We go back.
We go way back. We got stories. We know where the bones
we
are.
got we got stories we can't share in public. We got great stories.
But trust us, people, they are amazing and yummy. And it is a privilege to have Chris, who is on the West Coast.
Yes.
So it is
That's the sun. I'm trying to block that out, but the
it looks
sun's on my shoulder.
amazing. He's morning time. We're afternoon on the East Coast. So thank you so much for getting up and doing this with me. So I'd like to start out with just setting the tone. So let me
Sure.
ask you what you think. I'm going to read this to you.
Okay.
And it says, the universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you already are. And that's from Rumi. What do you think of when you hear that? As we talk about permission, that what it said, nothing, you don't have to look outside. You already embody what you want and who you are. What comes to mind,
I
Professor?
mean, that sums it up. When you talk about giving permission, is
Mhm.
giving permission to embrace that very idea and concept, because there's so many forces outside of us that challenge that. And when you asked me about this, I was trying to think, like, given permission, what would I say? What could
Don't
I?
say anything yet. Just think about the quote. So,
No, well, that's what it makes me. It kind of makes me focus on some of the things that I was thinking
okay.
about with the permission.
Okay. So,
But it does exist. Oftentimes, when we want to do something, we assume that we don't have what it takes, so
mm,
we look outside of ourselves. When really what you need to do is take inventory of what you already have, because generally speaking, you have what it takes already. But through whatever forces out there that make us self-doubt or believe that we can't, we'll start searching outside of ourselves for the answers that kind of already exist inside of you. So when I hear that quote, it just kind of reaffirms that idea in my mind.
that's dope. I love that. I love that. So, if you had transitioned to permission, because we live in a world now where we are constantly trying to give ourselves grace, or we should, permission to just to be who we are authentically and organically, right? Not something else. And I know as we get older, we walk into that and we embrace everything about us, especially once you get to the middle age part of your life, right?
Yeah, dig it.
So, right? So, reflecting now, having worked in the industry for 30 years, doing public relations, and then segue into being a professor, being on the speaking circuit or speaker circuit, published author, what are the three things you or two you would give yourself permission when you started out in your career? And you thought,
In looking back, if I could,
yeah, looking back and
uh,
said, yeah,
you know what? I was thinking of this. The thing that I probably would give myself permission for, first and foremost, is to follow my own advice. Because
mm,
I was great at giving other people advice. And in our business, that was the disciplines. PR folk, we work with individuals, and we tried to give shine to them
right.
and their projects. And I had the same when I lived in Brooklyn. I'm trying to think of it. And I remember it was Brooklyn. It wasn't before Brooklyn. It wasn't after. It was when I lived in Brooklyn. And I would say, better to be a brilliant, if brief, burst of light than a constant gray dot on the backdrop of someone else's good time. Right? I used
Mm.
to say that to myself. And then I found myself
Doing
being
the
that gray
opposite.
dot in the backdrop. So I said, I would tell other people to be that brilliant, if brief, and hopefully not too brief. It should be for decades or however long. But if it's only brief, I'd rather be brief than a constant gray dot on the backdrop of someone else's good time. And dig this, I found myself being that gray dot,
Yeah.
watching all the action, but not really participating.
That's deep, Chris.
No, I mean so oftentimes as I, and I give a lot of credit to you. When we did there was a time when you and I got together, and our viewers, I'll give them a little background on us, and we had worked together in music publicity and marketing and things like that. And we decided to kind of turn the arrow to ourselves. So we put together the As Powerful as You Want to Be workshop. And that was one of the first forays into really hopping off that backdrop and becoming that brilliant burst of light myself.
Yeah.
And it has just been, and it's not an overnight thing, but you have to have the mindset that I'm not going to be that. So I would give that advice. And I said, well, damn, how come I'm not listening to my own advice?
So you would put yourself out in the spotlight. You would promote your talent, right?
Yes.
Give yourself grace. What else would you do? What else would you give permission in the early days to do?
Not to compare myself to other people.
Ooh, that's a yummy one.
No, I mean, that's.
Go ahead, talk about it.
Listen, it's easier said than done.
Right.
Even as a kid, I can remember like somebody else was cooler, somebody else was smarter, somebody else was better with the ladies, somebody else was this or that. And then you realize that that's a zero-sum game. You're never going to catch up. Right. You're never going to be, if you compare yourself to other people, and that's at any age, you're always going to come up short because in your mind, they're groovy. They're doing the good things. You don't see the struggle.
Chris, I got to tell you how old you sound. You said they are groovy?
They are groovy.
I love it.
I'm going retro, black exploitation on you.
I got the shirt to represent.
I should have my Black Panther beret on right now. But no, when you start comparing yourself to other people, you don't. My mentor Terry Williams used to tell me, God bless her, you don't ever see other people struggle.
Yeah.
No matter what the facade is behind it, there might be somebody like really shivering and needing help, but all you see is the
package,
the glitz, the glamour. So giving myself permission to not compare myself to other people. I mean, that's one for sure.
I love that one. Is there another one, or you're good with two?
Yeah, you know what it is? The other one, and this is the most liberating, as far as I'm concerned. No longer caring what people think about you.
I think it's an age thing, right?
You know why? Because what you realize is that you could be a DNA splice of Dr. King, Mother Teresa, and Jesus Christ. And dig this, they still gonna talk about you.
Word.
There is, if you're on and popping, they'll be envious and say something. If you're not, then they'll laugh and ridicule. So I'm not saying you don't respect the views of friends. Like if you came to me and said, Chris, such and such, I would take it to heart because I know where it's coming from. But, there's always going to be people sniping. There's always going to be somebody, a detractor. And there's no overcoming that. So you just kind of got to boldly push forward and do what you do and be groovy.
I love that. Come into the spotlight, claim your power. There's always going to be somebody groovy. So love who you are, right? But what you said, I remember when my mentor, Sheila Eldridge.
Of course. Legendary
Sheila Eldridge. I remember once I said to her the same thing. Like I said, I feel like, I can't win about this. Somebody's always complaining or talking about me. And she said, pause for concern when they stop talking about you.
Dig that.
And I was like, yeah.
Like Biggie said, say my name right. That's all.
Go 80s. Go Biggie. Go Brooklyn. Go 90s. Right?
People are going to be like, what year did she film this one? What year was this one taped?
I know, right? This is like 1977.
No, but I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think you're giving power to people. You're letting people, just giving people an opportunity to express themselves inward out. That's so I've always been a fan and I'm proud to be a friend.
Oh, I love you. I am here. It's the mutual, cheerleading squad for both of us. We understand how to navigate this, but now at this point, this juncture in our lives, we are actually giving ourselves permission to show up all parts of us and not just showcase the ones that we think are, more palatable to others. We want to give you the groovy, and this is all the groovy. So
I didn't plan that in advance. That kind of came out naturally. I haven't used that word, but interesting. I teach, and so one of the things I know we're probably getting short on time. And one of the things I talk to young people about, one of my presentations called Making New Mistakes, right? So when I talk to them, I say, okay, what I want to talk to you about is that I want you to make new mistakes, meaning I will tell you the errors I've made. Because my bio won't list my failings. My bio only talks about my successes, but I didn't learn anything from my successes. I learned from my failures. So I go down the list with them. So many of the things we're talking about now, when I talk to young people, I want them not to wait to middle age to get it.
Yes.
I mean, I want you to, start, don't be that gray dot. Be that brilliant burst of light now. Don't worry about comparing yourself to other people now. Don't worry so much about what people say about you. Don't wait till later. We don't have a game plan that it has to be in your 40s that you get hip to this. So these things we're talking about, when I say, listen, these are some of the mistakes I made. These are some of the things we're talking about right here, Karen. I tell young people, you should avoid doing these things.
Yeah. And if you do fall down, get back up.
Get back up. You're going to fall.
And that, like you said, the lesson and the joy of life are in the challenges. They're in those spots and spaces where you're figuring it out. But when you can reflect and say, yeah, I did this and it didn't work, it's not imperfection. And the bio will never tell you everything about yourself, because it doesn't tell you how many times you stumbled, how many times you hit your toe, how many times
you get laid off.
And you got right. It doesn't tell you your battle scars. And it's for us to talk about that. So I so appreciate your candor and your honesty, and the fact that when we both met each other, we didn't have glasses, and now we want but I'm grateful we still have our teeth.
Oh, dig it. Yeah. I don't have as much hair as I had, but
Still good though, still good. So we can't end this without taking a breath, because as we give ourselves permission, it's always about breathing and being mindful of where we are in that moment, because it's the moments, it's the message, and it's also the milestones. So sit nice and tall. I'm going to spotlight you.
Oh.
Yes, I'm gonna spotlight
you.
Oh, it just gives us a different layer. All right, so just put your arms up, Chris, and I'm gonna stand up a little bit. Yes, right here, okay. All the way up. And then I just want you to just reach them all the way up, extending, like as if you're going to grab that slice of the sun coming through the window. Right here, palms are facing each other.
Oh, okay.
Just tip your head back. Just drop it back here, chin to the sky, the ceiling.
Oh.
Allowing your heart space just to rise. Inhale here. Hold that breath for 3. 1, 2, 3. And on your exhale, look straight ahead. Gently open your lips and exhale for 7. Allowing the arms to get heavy. Slowly bring them to the side, coming down, down, down. And just release them. Fingertips pointing to the ground, the floor. And just shake off hair. Yes. And what I love to do, take this left hand, well, this is my right hand, and just brush off the left side. You'd be surprised how much stuff we carry. So from the shoulder to the fingertips, just brush that off. Yeah. And one more inhale up. And when I count to 3, just exhale with a ha through your mouth. Drop your arms. 1, 2, 3. Ha. Let it go. Just drop.
Oh.
So one more time. Inhale up. Yep. Now drop. Ha.
Ah.
Namaste.
Am I certified now?
You